Ever notice how, like, one thing goes wrong in your body and suddenly everything's connected?
Yeah.
Like, you throw your back out just trying to sneeze or something.
Right.
Or you get stressed and boom, headaches.
Yeah, it's like your body's playing a big game of dominoes sometimes.
Totally. And get this. Today we're diving into one of those wild connections. Ready for this? Sleep apnea and jaw pain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're unpacking some really interesting research from scientific reports. These researchers over in South Korea, they've been looking into a possible link between obstructive sleep apnea,
OSA, yeah,
you got it, OSA, and something called temporomandibular disorder.
which most people probably know as TMD, right?
Exactly. So TMD, OSA, sounds a little intimidating.
Yeah. Let's break it down.
Okay, so first up, what is obstructive sleep apnea?
All right, picture this. You're asleep, everything's peaceful, and your throat muscles relax, like they should.
Yeah, natural part of sleep.
Right. But with OSA, those muscles, they relax a little too much.
Right.
Yeah, and it causes your airway to close up.
Wait, like completely close up?
Sometimes partially, sometimes completely.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to breathe, but
Roadblock.
exactly. So you end up with these pauses in breathing, gasping for air, and all of that just wreaks havoc on your sleep.
No kidding. So we're not just talking about feeling a little sleepy during the day, are we?
Not even close. OSA can up your risk for some serious health problems down the line. We're talking heart disease, high blood pressure, the works.
Okay, that's definitely not something to mess around with.
Nope.
All right, so that's OSA. Now, what about TMD? Is that just a fancy way of saying you have a sore jaw?
Kind of, but it's a little more involved than that. It's
Yeah.
really about the jaw joint and all the muscles that control how your jaw moves.
Okay, so more than just a sore jaw then.
Right. We're talking stiffness, clicking, or popping sounds when you open and close your mouth, even headaches and earaches.
Wow, I had no idea. So how common is TMD?
Way more common than you might think.
Hmm?
Affects about 25% of people, and women seem to be more prone to it than men.
Really? Wow. Okay, so you've got these two things, OSA and TMD. What made these researchers think to study them together?
Well, they found that a whopping 53% of the TMD patients in their study also had OSA.
Wait, hold on. Over half the people dealing with jaw pain also had sleep apnea.
That's right, which is significantly higher than what you'd see in the general population. Definitely suggests a connection.
That's huge. So what did they do to figure out what was going on? How'd they study this?
They started by collecting a ton of information from their TMD patients, medical histories, sleep questionnaires, even did those portable sleep studies to keep tabs on their breathing at night.
Okay, so they're building a full picture of these patients, their health, their sleep habits, everything.
Exactly. And to really get to the bottom of things, they brought in the heavy equipment MRIs.
Whoa, MRIs. You mean like those powerful scanners, the ones that give you those really detailed pictures of what's going on inside the body?
The very same. They were particularly interested in the jaw and airway structure. Remember those throat muscles we talked about?
Yeah, the ones that relax too much in OSA.
They wanted to see if there were any structural differences that might be linked to both TMD and OSA.
Fascinating. So they've got all this data, medical histories, sleep studies, MRIs. What do they do with it all?
This is where it gets really cool. They use all that data to train a machine learning algorithm.
Hold on, we're going full-on sci-fi here. What does that even mean, training an algorithm?
Okay, think of it like this. Imagine a detective who's amazing at spotting patterns.
Like Sherlock Holmes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now imagine giving Sherlock a bunch of case files with all the details, the clues.
The evidence.
Right.
Yeah.
He starts to see connections that other people might miss. This algorithm, it's basically the Sherlock Holmes of medical data.
I like it.
They fed this algorithm everything, the patient's info, the MRI scans, whether they had OSA or not.
So it could learn, right? Figure out what was connected to what.
You got it. It became an expert in recognizing the patterns linked to OSA, especially when you factored in the MRI findings.
Wow. That's amazing. And how accurate was it? Was it actually able to connect the dots?
That's the incredible part. This algorithm, it was incredibly good at predicting whether or not a TMD patient also had OSA, especially when you brought the MRI data into the mix.
So the MRIs were key. What were they showing? What was the algorithm picking up on in those scans?
This is where it gets even cooler because remember, we're talking about an algorithm.
Right, not a doctor looking at an image.
Exactly. So to see what the algorithm was zeroing in on, they used this technique called GradCam.
GradCam. Sounds intense.
It's actually pretty simple. Imagine you're looking at a picture And someone takes a bright marker and highlights the most important parts.
Okay, I'm with you.
That's what GradCam does. It shows what the algorithm was focusing on when it made its predictions.
A little like peeking into the algorithm's brain, seeing its thought process.
Precisely. And what they found was really fascinating.
Don't leave me hanging. What was the algorithm so interested in?
Well, it wasn't just looking at the throat muscles, which is what you might expect given that we're talking about breathing, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it was also highlighting the nasal passages.
Really?
Yeah. And the soft palate, even parts of the brain in some cases.
Hold on, the brain? What does the brain have to do with all of this? I thought this was about the airway.
That, my friend, is the million-dollar question.
This is blowing my mind. We've got this algorithm pointing to areas in the brain that might be involved in OSA, which could explain why some people with jaw pain also have sleep apnea. It's like this hidden connection that we never knew existed.
And it really highlights the power of using these advanced technologies in research. Think about it, we've been studying OSA for decades, but this algorithm, just by analyzing data in a new way, is giving us a whole new perspective on the condition.
It's like having a fresh set of eyes, or in this case, a super-powered brain, looking at the problem from a completely different angle. But how does this connection actually work? What's the link between, say, the structure of our jaw, the way our brain functions, and the development of OSA?
That's what researchers are trying to figure out. One theory they're exploring is the role of inflammation. See, when you have OSA and you're constantly struggling to breathe during sleep, it puts stress on your body.
It's like your body is in fight or flight mode all night trying to get enough oxygen.
Exactly. And one of the ways your body reacts to that stress is with inflammation. Now, we usually think of inflammation as a localized response to injury or infection, like a swollen ankle after a sprain.
But you're saying this inflammation from OSA might be more widespread.
That's right. This chronic, low-grade inflammation from OSA could be impacting various parts of the body, including the jaw.
Okay, so that makes sense. The constant struggle for air triggers inflammation, and that inflammation might make existing jaw pain worse, or even contribute to TMD. But what about those brain connections? How does inflammation play a role there?
Well, research is showing that chronic inflammation can actually impact the brain, affecting things like sleep-wake cycles, mood regulation, and even cognitive function. It's possible that in some people, this inflammation might be affecting the areas of the brain that control breathing during sleep, making them more susceptible to OSA.
So it's like a vicious cycle. OSA leads to inflammation, which could then impact the brain in a way that makes OSA worse, and around it goes.
Precisely. And this is where the research becomes even more crucial. By understanding these intricate links, we can start developing more targeted and effective treatments for both OSA and TMD.
So we've got this incredible research showing a strong link between OSA and TMD, even suggesting a potential role for the brain. What does this all mean for the average person? Especially someone listening to this right now who might be thinking, wait a minute, I clench my jaw, I grind my teeth at night, could I have sleep apnea too?
That's a great question, and it highlights the importance of being aware of these connections. While this research doesn't mean that everyone with jaw pain has OSA, or vice versa, it does underscore the importance of an integrated approach to healthcare.
What do you mean by that?
It means we need to move away from thinking of health conditions in isolation. The body is a complex system, and everything is connected. If you're experiencing jaw pain, it's not enough to just address the jaw itself. We need to consider other factors that might be contributing to the problem, including sleep.
It's like that old saying, treat the whole person, not just the disease.
Exactly. This study is a powerful reminder that what might seem like separate, unrelated health issues could actually be intertwined in ways we never imagined.
So let's talk about what people can do. If someone's listening to this and they're worried, maybe they have jaw pain, maybe they snore a little, what's the first step? Should they be asking their doctor about OSA?
Absolutely. Knowledge is power. If you're experiencing any of the symptoms we've talked about today, jaw pain, clicking or popping in the jaw, morning headaches, excessive daytime sleepiness, snoring, don't ignore them.
Even if you think, oh, it's just a little jaw pain, it's probably nothing.
Even then, talk to your doctor or dentist about your concerns, tell them about your sleep habits, any other symptoms you might have. This study highlights that early detection is key, especially when it comes to conditions like OSA, which can have such a significant impact on overall health.
So often we brush off symptoms or tell ourselves we're just imagining things, but it's so important to listen to your body and speak up if something feels off. Don't be afraid to advocate for your own health.
I couldn't agree more. The more we understand about these complex connections within our bodies, the better equipped we are to take charge of our health and well-being.
This has been an eye-opening deep dive into the world of sleep apnea and jaw pain. But before we wrap things up, I want to touch on one more fascinating aspect of this research, the role of AI and machine learning in healthcare. We've seen how powerful this technology can be in uncovering hidden connections and potentially revolutionizing diagnosis and treatment. Where do you see this going in the future? What's next for this kind of research? It's like we're entering this whole new world of medicine, algorithms helping us see things, connections we might have totally missed before.
Without a doubt. This study, it's just the beginning, really. We're already seeing AI and machine learning popping up everywhere in healthcare these days, like analyzing medical images, catching things like cancer way earlier.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and personalizing treatments based on your genes. I mean, they're even using it to try and predict infectious disease outbreaks.
That's incredible. But with all this talk about AI and algorithms, it does make you wonder, right? Will we even need doctors in the future?
People ask me that all the time. And honestly, absolutely, we'll still need doctors.
Okay, good.
AI and machine learning, they're powerful tools, no doubt. They can analyze huge amounts of data, find patterns we wouldn't even think to look for. But at the end of the day, they're just tools.
They can't replace a real live human doctor.
Exactly. We'll always need that human touch, that empathy, that ability to really listen to a patient and put all the pieces together.
That's a relief to hear. So it's not about replacing doctors, it's about, giving them superpowers.
Exactly. It can help them make better decisions, provide more personalized care, get better outcomes for their patients. But we'll always need that irreplaceable human element.
That makes a lot of sense. So as we wrap up this deep dive, all this incredible info about sleep apnea, jaw pain, the brain, even AI, what's the one thing you really want our listeners to remember?
Listen to your body. If something feels off, don't ignore it. What you might brush off as no big deal, like jaw pain or a little snoring, could be a sign of something more serious going on.
It's all about those connections, right?
Exactly. And don't be afraid to talk to your doctor. Ask questions. The more we understand about how our bodies work, the better we can take care of ourselves.
This has been an incredible deep dive. Sleep apnea, jaw pain, the brain, AI. It's amazing how much there is to learn about, just being human. So to everyone listening, stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, take care of yourselves. We'll catch you next time.